Hi, I'm Elise. Welcome to Witch Way. This is the real world witch lore of Good Omens Season 1. This fantasy, comedy, drama series is based off the book of the same name, although the book has the additional subtitle, The Nice and Accurate Prophecies of Agnes Nutter, Witch. Season 1 of its TV series adaptation took place in 2019 and stars David Tennant as Crowley, Michael Sheen as Aziraphale, Sam Taylor Buck as Adam Young, Miranda Richardson as Madam Tracy, Michael McKean as Witchfinder Sergeant Shadwell, Jack Whitehall as Newton Pulsifer and Thou Shalt Not Commit Adultery Pulsifer, Adria Iona as Anathema Device, and many more. From the creation of the universe, demon and angel, Crowley and Aziraphale, are sent from hell and heaven respectively, Earthside, to do evil and good, but find themselves at a stalemate, so work together and do their best to enjoy themselves and each other's company. Until, that is, the Antichrist is born, and promptly misplaced. He marks the start of the end of the world, as prophesied by Agnes Nutter, Witch. It's up to her descendant, Anathema Device, and the descendant of her executioner, Newton Pulsifer, as well as an angel and a demon, to stop the apocalypse. The prophesizing witch Agnes Nutter was burned at the stake in 1656 in Lancashire, the last true witch in England. Now, as we know, in England, alleged witches were hanged when found guilty of witchcraft, not burned at the stake. But the book suggests this decision was made after what happened when they tried to burn Agnes Nutter.
Okay.
Agnes Nutter, her place of residence and execution, and her descendants with the last name of Device were inspired by the Pendle witch trials, which occurred in 1612 and resulted in 10 people being found guilty and hanged for the crime of malefic witchcraft. Perhaps Agnes was related to some of the victims of these trials. As part of the trials, it was alleged that Alice Nutter and Elizabeth Southern, also known as Demdike, and her daughter Elizabeth Device murdered someone by witchcraft, and that they were all present at a witch meeting at Malkin Tower, the home of the Devices. Elizabeth Southern's died awaiting trial, but Alice Nutter, Elizabeth Device, and her 2 children and 6 others were hanged for witchcraft. This is one of the most well-documented witch trials, being recorded by Thomas Potts in his A Wonderful Discovery of Witches in the County of Lancaster. No witch hunters recorded here, unlike in the series, when Witchfinder Major Thou Shalt Not Commit Adultery Pulsifer comes after Agnes Nutter. This character is of course inspired by
Matthew Hopkins, Witchfinder General,
who self-appointed the title of Witchfinder General and was responsible for the increase of witch trials in his active years as a witchfinder between 1644 and 1647. In Good Omens, the novel, they bring in the legend that Matthew Hopkins himself was accused of witchcraft and hanged, if only that were so. Our modern-day witchfinder, Sergeant Shadwell, is a one-man army, but still holds to the old beliefs of witchcraft as shown in his sign when preaching on a street corner. It reads that witches blight crops, cast the evil eye, dance naked, abomination, worship the devil, have too many nipples / call their cats funny names. The latter was probably inspired by the frontispiece of Matthew Hopkins' The Discovery of Witches, where 2 women are confessing the names of their familiars, like Vinegar Tom, Pie Wacket, and Grizzled Greedygut. And of course, that's where the extra nipples come into it. They were for apparently feeding a witch's familiar. That's also what the pins were for.
Regulation issue Witchfinder's pin. Pricked her all over.
And what was the result?
She said it cured her arthritis.
If not extra nipples, it was also said that witches would have a mark on their body to signify that they had made a pact with Satan. This mark would apparently not feel pain or bleed, so pins were inserted into the body to find this mark, a method favoured by witchfinders, as sometimes they would actually use retractable pins, and this is mentioned in the novel. Witchfinder Private Newton Pulsifer gets some interesting things as part of his Witchfinder's kit.
Thumb screws.
Oh, I don't think I'll...
Thumb screw.
Thumb screw.
Thumb screws were, of course, a torture device, and most, if not all, confessions of witchcraft were gained under some form of torture. But he also gets 3 other items as part of his kit.
Bell.
Bell.
Book.
Book.
And candle.
Bell. Book. Candle.
Not only is this the name of a classic witch movie, but also a form of excommunication from the church. The bell was silenced, the book closed, and the candle snuffed. Convicted witches were often excommunicated from their church and denied a proper burial. Sometimes this person was referred to as an anathema, the name of our modern day witch. Anathema device is sent to track down the Antichrist and stop the end of the world. She can see auras, track down ley lines, and uses various methods to find this Antichrist. Scrying to try and locate him, and using dowsing rods to try and tap into his energy, while quoting the witch's song from Shakespeare's Macbeth.
I have newt and tongue of dark.
And she uses part of The Witch's Ruin by Doreen Valiente, which appears in the Gardnerian Book of Shadows.
Darksome night and shining moon.
This has also been made into a song by S.J. Tucker.
Darksome night and shining moon.
And of course, Anathema is guided by the nice and accurate prophecies of her ancestor, Agnes Nutter, Witch. This book has quite the recommendation.
The nice and accurate prophecies of Agnes Nutter.
Reminiscent of Nostradamus at his best. Ursula Shipton.
This is remarkable due to the fact that Mother Shipton died over 100 years prior to the book's publication, but not impossible, as she could have foretold its existence. Ursula Southill, aka Mother Shipton, was, according to legend, born around 1488 in a cave during a terrible thunderstorm. Apparently, she came cackling from the womb, after which the thunder stopped. She lived in Knaresborough for a time and would become known as a witch and a herbalist and told fortunes, though she would later return to the cave in which she was born, now known as Mother Shipton's Cave. You can still visit it today. She died in 1561, and a book was later created of her prophecies in 1686, The Strange and Wonderful World of Mother Shipton, apparently listing some of her prophecies and giving a possible explanation for what they could have meant. There have also been several fictional prophecies claimed to have been foreseen by Mother Shipton, and Aziraphale apparently had a copy of Mother Shipton's prophecies.
Mother Shipton had spilled drink on his copy of her book.
Collecting first edition books on prophecy is Aziraphale's speciality, and he has collected several, all inspired by real-world prophets. But the jewel in his collection is the nice and accurate prophecies of Agnes Nutter, which helps him track down the Antichrist. So he needs to report in to a higher power. He does this using a sigil. This sigil is most likely inspired by Enochian magic, which was used to invoke angelic and spiritual entities, developed by occultists John Dee and Edward Kelly.
Occult forces?
You and me.
I'm not a cult. Oh, angels aren't occult, we're ethereal.
Crowley himself may have been named after an occultist, Aleister Crowley, who founded the religion of Thelema. But we also have someone else dabbling in the occult.
Madam Tracy draws aside the veil every afternoon except Thursdays.
Madame Tracy conducts seances for a price. Falling into the conning spiritualist stereotype, she picks up on something real this time. Miranda Richardson portrays our part-time spiritualist, part-time Jezebel. She has had many witchy roles in the past. As Queen Mab and the Lady of the Lake in Merlin, two witches again in Sleepy Hollow, the evil queen in Snow White, another evil queen in The Storyteller, and Rita Skeeter in Harry Potter. Season 1 of Good Omens scores for lore, history, and a little bit of the craft, as we do see Anathema using tools to focus her abilities, though they are more scientific than witchy.
Most books on witchcraft will tell you that witches work naked. This is because most books on witchcraft are written by men.
I absolutely love this show. The humour of Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman comes together beautifully, and Neil Gaiman was actually able to work on the show to faithfully bring the adaptation to screen. Another of his witchy works has been brought to the screen with the Stardust adaptation, and though not witchy, I highly recommend Sandman. This was an absolutely gorgeous show based on his graphic novels. As for the late Terry Pratchett, his Discworld series of novels are very witchy indeed, and I love them so much. You can find his witches in Equal Rights, Weird Sisters, Witches Abroad, Lords and Ladies, Masquerade, Carpe Jugulum, The Wee Free Men, A Hatful of Sky, Wintersmith, I Shall Wear Midnight, and Shepherd's Crown. I think I will definitely let you know more about these witches, as our main three, Magrat Garlic, Nanny Og, and Granny Weatherwax, do appear in an animated adaptation of Weird Sisters, which is a lot of fun. Have you watched Good Omens yet? Let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. Season 2 continues the story of Aziraphale and Crowley, though alas, no witches, but still great to watch. Let me know what witchy stuff you've been watching lately and any other recommendations for my upcoming witch lore reviews. I've had some great ones coming through. Remember to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and subscribe to my channel to stay notified of more witchy content. And please share this channel around to anyone you think might enjoy this witchy vibe. And as always, thank you very much for watching here on Witch Way.